Previously on Balls.
Gary's called us.
Oh,
we're battling to get hold of Gary, so he decided to Skype us. How you doing, Gary?
Yes, fine. We've got total disaster here with the weather. It's been we've had heavy rains, there's floods, everything. So
yeah,
chaos.
It's kind of this. I was just saying earlier. You can almost like end of summer going into winter for you guys. There's always floods somewhere in the UK, though, isn't there?
Well, no, it's been this year's been particularly bad. I think we've had rain since the beginning of April, and it's hardly stopped. So yes, it's just below the ground level is full of water, and as soon as it rains, it just raises to the surface. So yes, the southwest took a battering over the weekend, and now it's moving sort of north and eastwards.
All right, the thunder, lightning, even your pictures are askew behind you.
You're right, actually. I must put them straight. You're right.
The houses have got shaken up a bit. Well, hopefully.
In fact, I'm going to go and put those straight now. You take that.
It's going to bother you while you're sitting here. It's going to be in the back of your mind.
Make you feel bad now. Look at that. Yeah, we'll do this correct. There we go.
There we go. All right, and those obviously are the kids that you've got to rush off to just now, right? So we're not going to keep you too long.
Yeah, I know. It's the usual pick up from school and take my daughter to the stables. Help her do the mucking out, all the joys. Yeah.
Just by the way, I mean, I don't know, you obviously read the papers over the weekend. We're very curious to find out what the British press have said about your English rugby captain's decision to take a penalty at posts on Saturday as opposed to kicking it out and trying to win the game.
Yes, I'm sure that everyone down in South Africa was smiling when he took that decision.
We were laughing.
What is he doing?
Like he does that.
What did the papers say today?
It was a strange decision. Why it happened? You can imagine me here with a South African wife, and when he made that decision, I wasn't best happy, shall we say?
Did the papers climb into him? Did the press climb into him?
Yeah, no, the media have given him a heavy time over here, saying that being a captain's all about decision making, and that perhaps was one of the worst decisions that he's made for a while. So. I mean, again, go for the win. I mean, 16-15. My goodness, it was it was an opportunity, and unfortunately, we let it slip. And so, as you can imagine, my wife has got bragging rights for a number of weeks.
All right, well, let's take you away from that miserable aspect of your weekend, and let's turn our attention to football. Where you would have been smiling a lot more. Spurs had a good weekend. Just in a nutshell, Spurs had a good weekend. Great one for Man United after being held for quite a while in their game. Chelsea booed their new coach. That's kind of what sums it up, really.
Yes, I think you put it all in a nutshell there, really. Obviously, since we last spoke, you've had the sacking of Di Matteo again. Absolutely unbelievable. Di Matteo led them to the Champions League victory last year, albeit not in a stylish way. They still won it. Won the FA Cup final. 6 months later, he's sacked. Now, it gives you the impression that Roman Abramovich was not happy, even in the first place, of giving him the job. It appears that he couldn't really get rid of him after winning the Champions League and the FA Cup. But I think the first opportunity that he got this season, he was waiting for. And the first 24 points of the season to be won and lost, Chelsea won 22 of them. It's only been in the last 3 weeks. Their first defeat was 3 weeks ago to Manchester United, and then since then they had another defeat and 2 draws, and then a defeat at Juventus, and that was the first opportunity, the first window I think that the chairman had to try and get him out, and the first chance he got, he took it. Di Matteo, to me, he's always been very dignified. I like him a lot. He always comes across well, but as you say, it's tough being a Chelsea manager.
Now, if he was a grudge selection or a reluctant selection as coach back then, you would have thought that maybe Roman might have had that time to line somebody else up. And if Benitez is the guy that he sees as the long term coach, because he's called him an interim coach, surely he would have had enough time to line somebody up if he didn't want Di Matteo in the job. It doesn't sound like he did.
Well, I think if you read between the lines, clearly Benitez has been put in place as an interim measure. I think what happened is that Abramovich would really like Pep Guardiola to be their manager. Guardiola has said he's taking a year out after his time at Barcelona, and so maybe this is an interim step in the hope that he can persuade Guardiola to come to Chelsea.
All right, so maybe that's why he's just sort of put someone he didn't want to stick around with the guys won, as you say, the Champions League and also an FA Cup. So clearly he didn't have a liking for Roberto Di Matteo. Yeah, I mean, anything else that sort of stood out this weekend, Johnny? What?
Darren, I just wanted to ask Gary. Gary, West Ham facing a Football Association investigation after their fans chanted anti-Semitic abuse.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, I mean, I was at the game yesterday. And we started the game 2 points behind West Ham in the league. They were in 7th, we were in 8th. But West Ham were very poor on the day. We played well. Some great football was played by our chaps. And Jermaine Defoe had an excellent game. Gareth Bale, Aaron Lennon. So yes, we totally dominated the game. But of course, during the game, you can imagine there was there's a lot of stick that flies between the Tottenham and West Ham fans. Huge rivals in London, and of course, as the score was mounting up, when it got to 3-0, I think our fans were really giving a bit of abuse to the West Ham fans, and of course, they were sending some abuse back. I personally didn't hear any anti-Semitic chants being made. But that's not to say it didn't happen. Clearly, there's been a case brought forward, and the FA are looking into it. We are trying to get rid of all racism within the sport, not only within sport, but within life. And we're trying to use sport to make that happen. And these things have to be dealt with very severely. And if it did happen yesterday, hopefully the perpetrators will be brought to justice, and they will receive their punishment. Yeah,
once again, I think as we spoke about before, and I know we don't like chatting about these kind of things when we talk when we do get a chance to chat to you, but once again, a handful of people that go and that spoil it and give it a bad name. And as you say, with technology and stuff around, I'm sure they'll find the people and punish them accordingly, and make sure they never ever enter a football ground again. One of the things that struck me over the last few weekends is that the teams at the top generally. There's so many opportunities to win this premiership if you just take your chances. I've seen time and time again teams in the top 5 or 6. You'll have a bad result, and then the teams that follow you all above you all end up stumbling. And it almost seems like you want to look back and go, oh, geez, I can kick myself now because we just won that game. We might have actually been on top of the table. It's happened a few times this season again.
Yeah. We call it the if-only games. You always have those at the end of the season. If only we'd beaten them. If only we'd beaten them. And it's a case at the moment that no one really... Man City are unbeaten still, but nobody as yet has really made a huge claim for that Premiership title. There's been a lot of erratic performances from teams, some inconsistency throughout the top teams. That's why the likes of West Brom are in 3rd place in the table. Everton have been up there. You've got Swansea in the top half. And really there's a number of teams there that you would expect to be in those positions. We're 7th in the table. I think Liverpool are below mid-table. So it has been a bit erratic. But having said all that, I think it makes it far more interesting. Yeah. It's going to be very, very close this season. As you say, one team needs to put a string of results together. Whichever team in the top 6 or 7 that does that, they will put themselves in pole position. Yeah, and I think maybe Man City, although fans won't be happy about the fact that Europe is now gone, it might just benefit them. It might just, when you talk about tired legs at the end of the season after a very, very hectic schedule, that might be the difference for a side like that. Yes, I mean, I don't know. There's two trains of thought that go on that. One, if you're still in the Champions League, you're playing big games every week, you're playing big teams every week. If you're winning, then it builds the confidence, and then that continuity continues. If you're having a rest midweek, is that really preparing you for the big games? Personally, as a player, I'd like to play in all the big games and all the big competitions. It was a huge setback for Manchester City going out of the Champions League. I think Jose Mourinho put it very succinctly when he said in his after-match press conference, that if he'd have been knocked out of the Champions League for Real Madrid, he would not have been let back into Madrid. So I think he put a bit of pressure on Mancini there. Was he let back into Madrid this weekend? Didn't they lose to Real Betis? Yeah, they did. But I think he was talking more about the Champions League, because obviously that seems to be the the competition that I suppose the sexy competition that
Yeah.
or the chairman wants to win.
All right, cool, Gary. We're going to let you go so you can go and pick up the kids. We appreciate your time this afternoon. Stay safe there, and hopefully all the rain and stuff will pass by so you guys can get some respite. And look forward to chatting to you again sometime in future.
Thank you, and hi to everyone in South Africa.
Cheers, Gary.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
Gary.
Cheers.
Bye.
Gary
Bye.
Mabbutt joining us. Always nice to chat to him about things football after the weekend. And, there it is. That's your wrap-up of what went down in the Premier League over the weekend.
This is Balls Visual Radio. Darren, Simon, Kate, and John. Weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central African Time. Balls.co.za.